Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm not going to bore you with a long discussion. I think we all were in the military or related to the military, knowing that that really gets to be a long story if somebody stands up here for an hour. So I just do want to go through some of the things to orient you for the day so you kind of know what's going on. First of all, welcome to Veterans in Farming. This is our first workshop. You will see in the packets in front of you in the green folders a survey. One's for farm and one is for conference. We want you to think about it for today and then fill those out for us at the end of the day and we'll collect them. And really the farm one is to give us an idea of what would provide value for you. If something like this is valuable for you, happy to do it again in a year. If something like this is not your style and you prefer more of a like a farm setting or going on the farm, write it down in there. We did not ask for any names on either one, and that's so that we can get that true and unadulterated, nobody feeling guilty about putting it on there. We did ask for names on the, if you wanted to participate that way so we could track you down and talk to you and see how we could help you in being a part of the team that does stuff like this. The other one is the conference survey, so you know what went wrong and what went right today. Again, we've all been in the military one way, shape, or form, and we know that good after-action review gives us good content to make the next one better, which is always, we want to improve it. So please don't need to fill them out now because you haven't experienced the conference, but please, before dinner or near dinner time, have that filled out. And Marissa, who's manning our desk, she has pens over there as well that you could fill those out with, and feel free to take as many of those as you need. And again, just give us good comments on that. That's much appreciated. Next is, I want to introduce a few people. So we have Marissa that is at the front desk. If you have any questions or need to track something down, Mo's got my number and stuff, and she can contact me, and we can figure it out no matter what it is, like we always have in years past in our service. We do have room captains. Brad is going to kind of captain this room. Darren Chapman, you're going to conference the next room with the beekeeping, starting with beekeeping when we get there. And then Forrest is going to conference the boardroom. So we have 3 rooms. One of the thoughts that we had when we had committee meetings on this was that there's a lot of diversity in people's levels of farming. Some people say, hey, I just want to get into it. Some people say, I've been doing it. I don't need to know that. I want to learn about something else. So feel free to float between tracks. That's one of the reasons we did that, because you might see one track that really interests you and one class that does not. So in your folders, you'll see 3 sheets that are labeled agendas. You'll see advanced, beginning, and farming options. So the beginning one, that's all the classes that says beginning farming agendas, will be in here. And this will also have dinner in it tonight, the taco buffet. Farming options will be next door in the Jasper room right over there. And that'll start with the beekeeping by Dylan Riles. We'll talk about beekeeping to start in there. And then the last one is the boardroom. And to get to the boardroom, you go to the end of this hallway and you shoot straight across past the restaurant. There's a little room with a table in the middle. It sits about 20. And that is the boardroom. And we'll start with Dr. Fain's team. Dr. Fain couldn't make it, but Elma and her team from their staff is here, and they'll talk about food safety for an hour or 2. And I can't highlight food safety enough. I know when I started, food safety is sometimes a challenge to get over. So really, if you're able to attend that, please do. It's always a good discussion, and they're there to answer questions. They're very smart Purdue students, just like Dylan is as well. So just to go on with that, you'll see all the classes in here. I think we have some great classes. We have everything from educators at Purdue to NRCS to Indiana State Department of Agriculture and Indiana Grown to Indiana Department of Health with Indiana Grown for Schools. And then we'll have our meeting, I'm sorry, not meeting, it's more of a dinner at 6:30 p.m. I'll give some real short comments or points there, and then we'll do the raffle at the dinner. Everybody, if you haven't, should have gotten a little red ticket from Marissa on the way in. If you didn't get one, tell Marissa you didn't get one. That is your raffle free ticket. And then if you want more raffle tickets, you can buy one from Marissa for $1 a piece for more tickets. We have 2 very generous donations from Celtic Glen and Leslie and Phil with a $100 gift card for the Bloomington Farm Stop and some rabbits. Is that correct? Rabbits. Those are exciting. I know some people in the room want rabbits as well. And then we have some Amazon gift cards, everything. We have 3 of them from $30 to $450. So we'll do the raffle with the $450 as the kind of capstone item. And then people can pick what they want. If they're not into rabbits and they want to grab onto, you know, a gift card, they can do that as well. So the first couple raffle items will all be kind of get what you want, and then we'll leave the $450 for last as kind of the grand prize. Let me see what other things I have in my notes, because you know you got to have notes, right? So right now, so you know, in case you wanted to talk to anybody, did Stephanie make it today? I don't know if Stephanie made it. Okay, so John Antill and I are on the board. Stephanie is the secretary, John's the treasurer, and I'm the president. So if you guys have any comments for the organization, please let John or I know so that we can, you know, make adjustments and help make it better. We'll probably have a discussion on the board a little bit this evening, and where we want to take some of the things with veterans and farming and any of the input we heard. There is some bling that I like to call it, and it's on the table over there. You can either use the PayPal to buy a t-shirt or a patch, or you can get with Marissa and I, and we can take cash as well if you want to get a t-shirt or anything like that. I wanted to thank a few people. So last night there was a heavy team here with Brad and Josh helping out, setting this up, and a few other people here. So I wanted to thank them. Thank you guys. You guys did a great job before the social and setting up this event. And I also want to recognize Matt, where'd Matt go? Did he leave?
I'm right here.
Okay, Matt's in back. Matt is actually, so we always go to veterans first when we can. Marissa's a veteran. Matt is a veteran as well. He is an ag vet veteran helping us out with recording today. So we are going to record this. So if you do miss a class, we'll eventually get it posted on the website, and then we'll provide links. We're not sure how we're going to, we know we can do it. We're not sure how we're going to structure that and access to it and stuff, but that'll be coming out in the next month too after Matt records the events today. So if you miss something, don't feel bad. It'll be recorded and available to you as a member as well. I think that is all I had, unless there's any. I'll give it a quick. Any questions out there or any thoughts? Okay, if you see a boy about 15 years old with a B on his front, that is my son. So give him a hard time. All right, that's all I had. I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Bill Field from Purdue.
Am I okay where the camera, are you doing all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Matt. Yeah,
Okay. I need a $100 bill. Who's got a $100 bill? Come on. You're farmers. Oh, right over here. Good. I need a $100 bill.
Do I get it back?
What? You don't trust me?
No.
Come on. You don't have all morning here. Okay, $100 bill. I needed gas money, so we're done with that part. Okay. So, I know it's early. You learned something from that, right? My name is Bill Field. I've been at Purdue 46 years. Started when I was 12. That's why I'm still so young, right? And I've been involved in 3 aspects of rural life. Number 1, I try to make it safer and healthier for people who are engaged in any aspect of agriculture. He's really worried over there. Look at the frown on his forehead. What's $100 today? It takes me that to fill up my truck. Anyway, I try to make life safer, healthier for farmers, anybody engaged in agriculture in any way. Number two is for 45 years, I've trained rural fire departments on responding to agricultural incidents. So when you look at the literature or read an article, like for example, we just finished a grant, we trained about 5,000 volunteer firefighters on how to rescue people from grain bins. So anybody a firefighter here? Anybody? Nobody's here. Yeah. So good. You need to encourage a few others. One of the things I do in my classes at Purdue is that quit being so lazy and self-centered. I got in trouble last semester because I talked about protein deficiency around the world. I've been all over the world, and I've been in India, and I say there are no cats and dogs because there's protein deficiency. So you go to parts of the world, there are no cats and dogs because they're edible. And so next thing you know, within an hour, I get a call from HR at Purdue saying that I was suggesting that we eat cats and dogs. So I mean, these are people that probably are out to lunch, quite frankly. And they said, you can't do this. I said, I want you to look up the recipe for tiger and dragon soup, which you can buy in this country. And it's comprised of cats and snakes, tigers and dragons. It tastes like chicken. Did you know that? You go to China, you check cats. So I try to promote people to think out of the box and become volunteers. If you're a part of a rural EMS unit or fire department, we don't have enough people doing this. We rely on who? 911 and the government. You know, for thousands of years we relied on each other when we had a farm fire or something. Now we want the government to do it. And if you aren't there within a few minutes, they're critical of you. And then they're all volunteers. I've been in the middle of pushing and shoving where the volunteers get out of bed at 3 o'clock and the farmers are upset because they didn't show up within 3 minutes, or whatever it is. Have you ever seen that? Oh, you're laughing, so you know what I'm talking about. So the third area I work in is, it started because of the first area. I began working with farmers who had been disabled due to farm accidents, mostly farm accidents. And I found that really something that I was drawn to, because I've been out on site where literally hundreds of farmers have been very severely injured, and it resulted in permanent disability, mostly from accidents. And so I began to think about how could we change that. So in about 1978 or 79, some of you were not born then, right? But we took a John Deere tractor modified for a spinal cord injured farmer, so he could drive it. We took a school bus lift off what was called the short bus. Anybody ride the short bus to school? Nobody wants to. What are you laughing about? You know what I'm talking about. He rode the short bus to school? I didn't know that. Oh, okay. So we had a crashed school bus, short bus, and we took the lift off of it, put it on the side of a four-wheel drive John Deere tractor, not too far from here, over by Winnebago, and allowed Bill to get back onto his tractor. I still remember the day. It was so distinct in my brain. I've actually written a couple articles about it. Is that I went up there and we were doing the tweaking on this lift. My background was as a welder and a fabricator and worked at Purdue in ag engineering. And I really didn't know what I was doing because I didn't have a plan to do this. And so we took that, put it on there, bolted it in place, and I got up with trying to lift out, and then Bill in his wheelchair came along, and he plopped over on the lift, got himself up in there, and we get in the tractor, the cab, it was an 8430 John Deere tractor. And why do I remember that stuff? I can't remember my wife's name sometimes. Like, what is it? Let's see. Oh, I remember. But see, some of those details come back. You know what I'm talking about. So I remember getting Bill in the seat of the tractor, and I buckled him in, and here, he has no use of his body below the weights there. And we start off, we had a 51-foot field elevator. Why do I remember that? That's stupid. And you remember those kind of silly details. And we head off across the field. And I could see Bill sitting up. He just sort of raised up in his seat. And if you, did you know that men are genetically defective?
Oh, yeah.
They're attracted to black smoke. And back in that time, 78, 79, a John Deere 8430 did not have any environmental control systems on it. And when you pushed the throttle forward, what did you get? Black smoke poured out of that thing. And he was just, wow. And next thing you know, we're driving out across the field. It's the first time he'd been in a tractor for like 3 years because of all the rehab and everything that he'd gone through. The first thing, I grew up as a narrow-minded, bigoted Baptist. And the first thing he asked me to do is, Bill, I got some Skoal in my pocket. Could you get it out for me? Well, I couldn't even touch it. You know, Baptists don't want to touch tobacco. Anyway, I took the Skoal out. Here I am feeding this adult male Skoal into his mouth. And we're driving out across the farm. He's getting brighter and sitting up. And the first thing he did, he spit right across my face. I still remember hitting this window and tripping down on the tire. If you haven't been in a tractor like that, you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. What did our team at Purdue students do for that guy? Yeah, he was back in the tractor. Boy, that motivated me. We wrote an article that was published in the internationally famous Indiana Prairie Farmer. There's one column about a picture with Bill in the picture in the tractor we did. And that started AgriAbilities. And since then we've had several million people contact us for information to make tractors and combines and backhoes. I worked on 2 blueberry harvesters up in Michigan to make it accessible for people. And last year we worked on site with about 1,500 farmers, and about 22% of those were disabled veterans. And you know, I didn't plan that 40 years ago. To me, it's a God thing. I said, I'll be available. And next thing you know, that became really kind of awkward. I mean, right now we're working on a project to take a team to the Ukraine to work with disabled veterans in the Ukraine. And it's just like everywhere in the world, there are farmers who are engaged in agriculture. And some of them have disabilities. Do you know who the leading victim of landmines are in the world today? It's farmers. Farmers. Because they're putting landmines. I was on a conference call a couple weeks ago with a team in Kiev. That's how I pronounce it. I was there several years ago, worked at the VA hospital. But could you imagine being on a conference call with some Yahoo at Purdue University, and you're in the middle of Kiev? Wouldn't you be a little nervous? I'd be terribly nervous. But he was so passionate about, could you come, could you work on a team, bring it over here, and train our OTs and PTs, because many of the veterans that are fighting in that war are farmers. Because Kiev, the Ukraine is an incredibly productive farm area. So that gives you a little bit about myself. I'm a small farmer. We have 60 acres, and I raise belted Galloway cattle. We had 2 births this past week. Could you imagine a baby calf in its mama, and it's 100 degrees, 98.6. And the next minute, you're lying on the ground and it's -5. Do you know what had happened to a human being like that? That little calf came out all wet, and it looked like a polar bear. It just instantly froze every part of that. So what did my daughter, I have 5 children, my daughter's 19, still lives at home, and we got to bring her in the house, this little calf. So we brought the calf in. We had one in the bathtub one time, but it survived. Ran hot water over the calf because it was so cold. And then she brings out her expensive hair dryer. Right now our house has an unusual odor to it. Okay, but it's okay. We've had both calves born in the cold weather, both survived, both in the house, 1 bull, 1 heifer. We're excited. She's already named the bull Ferdinand. I don't know, where did that come from? Do you know who Ferdinand the bull is? Is that a book? See, he knows. I don't know this stuff. but it's Ferdinand. So we are a small farmer, and my favorite crops are asparagus, and also have about 16 fruit trees, but nothing like Joel, holy mackerel, what are you up to, 1,000 trees now or something? But anyway, so let's drive on here. I am passionate about making farming safer for everybody in this room, anyone that's engaged in agriculture. And how do I do that? I try to set a good example from 8 to 5, but don't come to my house after 5 o'clock. Because I'm like you. I don't have all these fancy tools to work with. Sometimes I have to make do. Sometimes I do things that even I think I should be doing this. But I want you to think about it. And so I'm going to just talk a little bit about, hey, look at, he's still worried, he's starting almost like biting his nails over there. So I'm going to show a little bit about risk taking. What is a risk? Let's start with a hazard. What's a hazard?
People asking for $100.
People asking. Especially after I drove up here in my little yellow Volkswagen. I think I'm one of the last 3 in the county. And when we ever see each other on the streets, we wave at each other and beep our horns, turn the lights on. If we're running, you know, everybody makes fun of me. And I got new hubcaps for Christmas with little yellow flowers on them. I mean, a man shouldn't drive a Volkswagen like that. Anyway, a hazard is anything that can potentially hurt you. Anything. I just had a big argument at a meeting in Omaha at the medical center, University of Nebraska Medical Center. They're coming up with a program to encourage youth not to vape. Okay, vaping. So I said, why don't you put in there anything that you suck into your lungs that is harmful to you? And I said, cigarettes, marijuana? Oh, we can't do that. We fought for so many years to make it legal. We can't even suggest that it's a bad. I said, anything you put in your lungs is bad. Spray paint, sniffing glue, whatever it is.
City air.
City air, right. A hog pit, okay? Hydrogen sulfide. So, a hazard, anything that can cause you harm. A risk is when you expose yourself to that hazard, whatever it is. So I have to use some illustrations here really quick. So anybody seen these glue traps? I use them in my feed room. I won't take them out because they're real sticky. I got in trouble with Johnson & Johnson to make some of these. It just says dispose of properly. So I put it in a package. This is the way I think. I want to see how people react. So I put a mouse that had got stuck in my glue trap in a package and shipped it up to Johnson & Johnson in Wisconsin. Suggesting, is this what you mean by properly dispose of? They told me not to do that again. So if I were to take this trap and put his $100 bill on it, most of you would have no problem going after his money. So that doesn't work. So what I try to do then is up the ante just a bit. So I take a little mouse trap and I put his $100 bill in there. At Purdue, students have no reservation at all going after his $100 bill. You'd go after it, right? Even if it snapped his fingers. I mean, it's not enough. So the exposure, people take chances like that. So I up the ante to a little bit bigger thing. So I put his $100 bill, I fold it up, put it in a mouse trap here. I don't use these very often. Do you mind if I fold this? It doesn't change the value of it. Maybe not. Maybe we got a new law somewhere that says it. And I put this in here, and that would hurt. That would break your finger.
Still worth $100.
It's still worth $100, see? Right there. There's a guy that I know, you would try to come in. Let's say, could I come in from the side? Could I come in fast enough?
I would put my whole hand in.
You would put his whole hand in it. This is a point I'm making. So what I have to do is at what point does he say no? Okay? This is problematic. So I was at a garage sale, and so I decided, maybe at some point, you're going to stop. That'll stop you.
It'll hurt.
Oh no, it'll take your hand off.
Okay. I'm not going to put it in just my hand.
That's all you can do to get that $100 bill, put my hand in it. Oh, you put your whole arm in there. See, this is the problem. I have had at least 50 farmers, 50 in my lifetime, who I've talked to, ate at their kitchen table, visited in the hospital, who went after this in an auger, a corn picker, the header of a combine. And they went after, how much is that worth? It ain't worth $100. It's not worth 100, but they've gone after it because I can remember doing that as a young man. Going in after it like an auger. We'd run our hand down the sides of the auger, the funnel, just to make sure everything got in. How many have done that? How many are liars in this room? Okay? No, I know you do that. I had a lawyer call me up down near Carmel. There's something wrong with the Carmel area. Very, very bright, very wealthy people. And he stuck his arm into a snowblower because it was plugged up. It had slush in it. And it hammered off his hand. How much was that snow worth? Couldn't he have just stopped? No, but that's the issue. At what point is the risk too great? And I want you to think about that. This feels so good in my hand. He's not going to look smiley anymore until I get it back to him. Okay? Okay? I got to move on here. See, that's the kind of equipment I use on my farm, okay? Now, it's a draw pin, if you don't know what that is. I had a project one time where I got a whole bunch of draw pins from farmers. I bought like 100 really good draw pins. And I visited farmers and I said, give me the worst draw pin that you have on your farm. And this was an example of one that was given to me in exchange for a brand new one. And then we went out and gave some demonstrations about why having a good draw pin is important. I've had 2 incidents in my life. One, I was hauling about a 500-gallon sap tank. Anybody make maple syrup here? We used to make maple syrup growing up. And I had a big tank full of sap behind me, lost a draw pin. And it was really exciting. Because there's a lot of weight there. And it was because it was just a cheap draw pin. I had another incident where a family was doing a hayride. And they had an antique tractor with a hay wagon with bales on it. And everybody from church was out there riding. They were all having a good time. And the top of that draw pin fell off. And the pin went through. The wagon went down the hill. And one woman ended up with a permanent brain injury because she got flipped off and hit her head. Just a little thing. Little things count. Okay? So think about those little things that you're doing that have a potential for causing harm to not only yourself, but to somebody else. Because it's those little things that count. Okay, I want to leave you with, well, I was going to mention a couple of little things. If you're operating, this troubles me all the time. I see pins and bolts. You look like you're a farmer. You know what I'm doing here? Why am I doing that?
Why are you modifying that?
Yeah.
One of the shafts so that way it'll hold in place.
Right. And so I just pull out a bolt somewhere and it fits in there and that turns around at 540 RPMs, revolutions per minute, and that's what catches your pocket.
What is the shear force on?
Not enough to compare with pulling you into it. These are just grade 3 bolts, grade 5 bolts. I had to go to a coroner's office and investigate the clothing that was on a farmer. And he obviously had reached over. The coroner couldn't figure out how he got into it, but he had a bolt just like that one. That's why I kept this one. And when I tore apart his clothing, right in the front pocket was a pack of Pall Mall cigarettes. That was his first mistake. He was a smoker. Second mistake is he reached over and it caught that pocket. I don't know how he got that close. The reason I know that is because this is a grade 5 bolt, has those 3 little, that's how engineers are really kind of dumb sometimes. You call it a grade 5 bolt, but then you put 3 slashes on it. Did you ever figure that out? You ever buy bolts, you want a grade 5, and you say, why it's got 3? grade 8 bowl has how many? Anybody know?
6.
5. Does that make any sense at all? Anyway, it got caught in his pocket. And right in the middle of that Palmo pack of cigarettes, that aluminum foil, was the head of that bowl, the stamp. You could read it. That's where he got caught. Because he had that bolt should never be in there. Should be a pin that's flat with the surface so it doesn't catch. Little things. Some of you are follicle deprived. Okay? Is that you're working outside, wear a hat. The data is clear. CDC said, nobody believes in CDC stuff anymore, right? I'm sorry. But the research has shown that farmers are having more problems with skin cancer. So if you're outside all the time, if you're a wife in the group, just pick on them. Don't let them say no. Have them wear a hat when they're outside. Protects their ears, protects their head, protects their neck. Little things that solve some of these problems. I know, because it's a John Deere. But if you gave me a case, I'd have a case one.
No, because the drawstring on it's going to catch you.
Oh, the drawstring. I don't have a drawstring here. No, it's not here. This is kind of a sun hat that Deere put out, no string on it. Okay, last thing I'm going to do. What's that supposed to say when you look at it? Stop. No, we want to use a different word. We want to use halt. Can I use your help? You just look so eager, ready to go. You're probably not even here voluntarily, right? But you like to be, the food is good, right? Okay. When you go out to work tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it is, this spring, think about this term halt. Don't ever make a decision when you're hungry. Do you know there's almost no farm accidents that occur between 12 and 1 o'clock? So if farmers ate more, they'd be safer. Okay? Think about that. I've done this research. Almost done, 12 to 1. But if you're hungry, peak periods are around 11 in the morning. How many of you ever had that late morning, I need something? If you're hungry, you're more apt to have an accident. Did you know that? If you need some sugar, whatever. Never do anything when you're angry. Okay? Everyone in this room has done something dumb when you're angry. I remember coming out, I have to be careful because it's under recording. I remember coming out of the ag engineering building, and here's this PhD, and so much smarter than I'll ever be, and he's kicking the side of his car. And the car was moaning. Oh, don't do that again. Please don't do that again. Oh, it hurts so bad. No, the car didn't feel a thing. I said, what are you doing? He says, I left my lights on. The battery's dead. I said, does that make you feel better when you kick the side of your car like that? He said, yeah, it does make me feel. I mean, all of us have done silly things when you're angry. Look at the guy with a $100 bill. He's already thinking about 6 things that he's done like that. If you go into the Purdue dorms, some of the doors have fist-sized holes in them. Where'd they come from? I mean, people don't normally do that, but when you're angry, you do things that are a little bit strange. I can remember burying a tractor in the mud, working on it, because there was a tile blowout, we filled it in, and it's soft, and it filled up with water, drive through that, whoom, right down to the, I just step out of the cab onto the ground. I said, that's terrible. And I had to restrain myself from kicking the side of the John Deere tractor. It had nothing to do with what, the John Deere tractor. It had to do with my decision or my forgetfulness to drive through a mud hole that I knew was there. And then you become angry, frustrated. Okay? Never do anything when you're lonely or depressed. Just stop. If you feel that way. And we all feel that way sometimes, right? We just feel like we're disconnected. You know, and what happens? The research is clear. We lower our self-value. People who are lonely and depressed tend to drive faster. They make decisions like that are hurtful to them. And then don't make a decision when you're tired. You're so good at this. Have you had training in this area before? Okay. Never to make a decision when you're tired. And you know that. My neighbor called me up on twice this week. He's still harvesting some corn. And so he says, Bill, could you help me? I mean, we're just trying to get in. And so it was, I'd been in Fort Wayne all day at the Fort Wayne Farm Show, and I got home, I just sat in my chair, drove up there, drove back, and spent all day. I walked my 10,000 steps. Anybody walking 10,000 steps with me? Just trying to get 10,000 steps in a day? So I did my 10,000. So I was ready to go to bed. He calls me up and says, I got a combine and a truck full of grain, and it's down in the field, I'm trucking it out. So we go down, I go down there, put my clothes on, and go down, and so when I got back after hauling the last load of grain in, because it was snowing like crazy Thursday night, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I'd been up and going all day. And I just knew that this was not a good time to be pulling something out of the mud or trying to fix something. You're just tired. And so you make decisions that get you in trouble. So think about that word halt. Don't make decisions when you're hungry, when you're angry, when you feel lonely or separated, or when you're tired. Just stop. Go to the house. Nothing is worth making a decision that results in, you or somebody else getting seriously injured. Okay, I think I've used my, they originally told me I had an hour and 45 minutes, but then Joe said, no, you only got 30 because you're boring. Yes, they told me that, you know. Brad thinks I'm boring too, right? No. Anybody have a question? Anybody want to argue? And otherwise, we'll get back on schedule here. I am so proud of Joe and his team, of putting this thing together, and the many other events that we've had since Joe's been around, and since Cindy Chastain was around, and working with veterans. I am not a veteran, but I do not like the military. I have my 3 grandchildren, and my son, who's a major in the Marine Corps, stationed in Okinawa. I have not seen my grandchildren for 2 years.
And the cost of flight to go to Okinawa is how much, 24?
A lot. Okay? And then we tried to go over, and the only way we could get into Okinawa is to stay in Tokyo for, the first was 7 days of quarantine. Yeah, we had to stay in a hotel. You tell me I'm lying.
No, it's true.
It's true. So, and it was pardon me, I'm sorry. It was $1,000 a night. It was $1,000 a night to stay there to be quiet. So I just, but I've got some plans for going over this summer. Because, they're all living over there, my 3 grandkids. And it'd be nice to see them, So I feel very passionate about what you guys are doing, what Joe's doing, and trying to get people together. And because I think it's going to have an impact. I just think just you being together in this room, we don't need any more virtual church. We don't need any more virtual meetings like this. We need people together, healing each other, yelling at each other, picking on each other, lifting each other up, and encouraging each other. When I went to see my friend Dick, he farms next to me, I could hear him in the grain bin. I said, Dick, what are you doing in there by yourself? He said, Bill, go away. Go away, Bill. I don't want you to know I'm in the grain bin all by myself. And then I just pick on him. Dick, don't be in there. Call me out. Here's something you can do, little things. I have a little routine with my neighbors. You're hauling stuff late at night and you need an escort vehicle, I'm available 24 hours a day except when I work at Purdue. And all night long I'm available because I just sleep at night. What else I got to do? Call me up. I bet I have done that 50 times. Where they call me up and say, we're pulling stuff out of the field, it's late, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and so I bring my truck down with all the flashers on it and I trail them on home so they have a safe trip home. Rather than going home by themselves. That's a little thing that we could do for each other. Questions? I got questions. Is that okay? Where's Joe?
Right here.
All right, is that all right? Did I do okay?
You did good. You did
Okay. Do I get a big check now or something?
great. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll talk to Purdue about getting that check.
All right. Oh, I gave the $100 to him. Okay, I hope you spend that money wisely. Anybody have a question? I'll be around, as long as you guys want me to be here. No rush to go anywhere. The only thing I got home is I got to feed hay yet today sometime. I was hoping to get warmer out. But it is not warm out there right now. Okay, it is cold. Thank you so much.